and Chidinma had been best friends since secondary school. They did everything together, braided each other's hair, shared clothes, and even dreamed about their future husbands. On a humid Saturday morning in Surulere, Amaka sat cross-legged on her bed, scrolling through her phone with excitement. "Chi, I think I've met the one," she said, smiling shyly. Chidinma's eyes lit up as she dropped her comb. "Who? Tell me everything." Amaka hesitated for a second, then smiled. "His name is Toby. He is kind, focused, and says he wants something serious." Chidinma grinned, pulling her closer. "Ah, finally, my girl is getting love." They both laughed, unaware that this conversation would plant the seed of betrayal. That night, as Amaka scrolled through pictures of Toby, she sent his Instagram handle to Chidinma, saying, "That's him." Chidinma smiled at her phone for too long, studying Toby's photos. Something dark began to grow inside her, curiosity mixed with envy. Weeks passed, and Amaka's relationship with Toby blossomed. He visited her after work, took her on dinner dates, and even sent flowers to her office. Chidinma was always around, teasing Amaka and calling to be her husband. Amaka laughed it off, believing her friend's jokes were harmless. One evening, Amaka invited Toby and Chidinma to her birthday dinner. The night was beautiful, with laughter and music echoing across the rooftop restaurant. Chidinma smiled all evening, but her eyes lingered on Toby longer than they should have. She noticed the way he spoke softly, how he listened, and how he smiled at Amaka. Later that night, when Toby dropped Amaka off, Chidinma stayed behind, saying she would get a ride. As Toby was about to leave, she approached him. "Thanks for making my best friend happy," she said, brushing her hair aside. Her tone was friendly, but the look in her eyes wasn't. Toby smiled politely and left, unaware that Chidinma had just crossed an invisible line in her heart. A few days later, Chidinma texted Toby, pretending it was by mistake. "Oh, sorry, I thought this was Amaka," she wrote. Toby laughed it off and replied, "No worries." That simple reply became the start of many small conversations. At first, it was casual, birthday wishes, memes, and jokes about Amaka. But slowly, Chidinma began to ask personal questions. "Do you really love her? What do you like most about her?" Toby, thinking she was just being playful, answered honestly, "She's kind and real. I see a future with her." But instead of feeling happy for her friend, Chidinma felt jealous. Every sweet thing Toby said about Amaka made her angry inside. She started dressing differently, hoping he would notice her whenever they met. One night, she texted him again. "You and Amaka look good together, but I think you deserve someone more understanding." Toby replied with a confused emoji, but the seed had already been planted. A month later, Amaka had to travel for a short work training in Abuja. Before leaving, she told Chidinma, "Please check on Toby for me. You know he can't cook to save his life." Chidinma smiled innocently. "You can trust me. I'll make sure he doesn't starve." The next evening, Chidinma called Toby, pretending Amaka asked him to bring him dinner. "Do something light," she said, showing up with a plate of jollof rice. They ate, laughed, and talked about random things. But as the evening went on, their conversation became personal. She told him about her struggles with loneliness, about how she wished she had someone like him. Toby felt awkward, but tried to comfort her. When she hugged him at the door, it lingered a second too long. That night, Chidinma stared at her ceiling, smiling to herself. "If Amaka can have him, then why can't I?" she muttered softly. Days turned into weeks, and Amaka returned from Abuja full of stories and excitement. But something had changed. Toby was acting distant. He no longer called every night, and his texts felt shorter. Amaka confided in Chidinma, not knowing she was the cause. "I don't know what's going on, Chi. He's been acting weird lately." Chidinma held her hand, pretending to be concerned. "Men can be funny sometimes. Maybe he's just stressed." That evening when Amaka left, Chidinma texted Toby. "She noticed your distance. You should be careful." He replied, "Maybe I just need space." Over time, their secret chats became emotional, then flirty. One night, they met at a bar just to talk. A few drinks later, Their talk turned into a mistake neither could undo. When Chidinma woke up the next morning, guilt flashed in her eyes, but only for a moment. Then she smiled. "Now he's mine too," she whispered. Toby's guilt ate at him. He tried to distance himself from both women, but Chidinma made it hard. She called constantly, reminding him of what they shared. "You can't pretend it didn't happen," she'd say, her voice calm but firm. Meanwhile, Amaka noticed Toby's fading affection. The calls stopped, the plans were always cancelled. She even started doubting herself. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked one night. Chidinma held her, hugging her, rubbing her back. Men are the same, forget him. But deep inside, Chidinma was enjoying every moment of Amaka's confusion. The guilt had faded completely, replaced by silent triumph. A week later, Toby stopped picking Amaka's calls entirely. She went to his house one afternoon and found another woman's earring on his couch. Her heart sank. But what she didn't know was that the earring belonged to her best friend.
The day Amaka found that earring, her world stopped. She held it up, staring at the tiny gold hoop with trembling fingers. It looked too familiar, the same ones Chidinma always wore. "No, it can't be," she whispered, shaking her head. When Toby walked into the room, she asked, "Who owns this?" He froze for a moment, then said quietly, "A friend." That answer broke her. Tears filled her eyes as she stormed out. She didn't need more proof. Her best friend's scent was all over his apartment. That evening, she called Chidinma. "Chi, can we talk?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Sure, come over," she replied, pretending to sound normal. But the moment Amaka walked in, she could see the guilt on her face. Silence filled the room before Amaka finally said, "It was you, wasn't it?" Chidinma looked down, avoiding her eyes. That silence said everything. "After everything I told you, after how much I trusted you," Amaka's voice cracked as tears rolled down her face. Chidinma tried to talk. "Amaka, it just happened." "Don't lie to me," Amaka shouted, slamming her hand on the table. "You knew exactly what you were doing." Chidinma stood up, her tone cold now. "You think you are the only one who deserves happiness. He chose me too." That line cut through Amaka's chest like a blade. The girl she once called sister now sounded like an enemy. Amaka grabbed her bag and left crying as she walked home under the streetlights of Lagos. When she got home, she threw her phone across the bed and sobbed until she fell asleep. The next morning, she deleted both their numbers. Love had betrayed her, but friendship had destroyed her. Weeks passed, but the pain refused to fade. Amaka couldn't eat properly, couldn't focus at work, and avoided everyone who asked questions. The heartbreak wasn't just about Toby. It was about losing someone she called family. Chidinma, on the other hand, flaunted her new relationship on social media. "God has finally blessed me," she posted with a picture of her and Toby. Each like and comment felt like salt on Amaka's wounds. But life has its way of balancing things. Rumors started spreading that Toby and Chidinma were constantly fighting. People whispered about cheating, lies, and drama. Amaka stayed quiet. She didn't need revenge. Karma was already doing the job. One night, Amaka looked at herself in the mirror and whispered, "I'll heal. I'll rise again." That was the night she decided to stop crying and start rebuilding. Amaka threw herself into her work. She joined new groups, made new friends, and even started attending church again. Her glow slowly returned. People noticed. "You're looking different these days," her colleagues said one morning. She smiled genuinely for the first time in months. Meanwhile, Toby's relationship with Chidinma had turned sour. He realized she was manipulative and jealous. "You made me leave a good woman for this," he said one evening during an argument. Chidinma screamed, "Then go back to her." But deep down, she knew she had lost him too. By the time Amaka saw them again in public, she didn't feel hate anymore. Just peace. Let them deal with what they built. She thought quietly. Pain had taught her what friendship couldn't: self-respect. A few months later, Chidinma showed up at Amaka's office. She looked thinner, broken, and embarrassed. "Please, can we talk?" she asked, tears in her eyes. Amaka hesitated, but finally agreed. In the small staff lounge, Chidinma confessed everything. "He left me, Amaka. I thought he loved me, but he just used me. I'm sorry for everything. Amaka looked at her for a long moment, then sighed. You destroyed something that can never be fixed. I forgive you, but I can never forget. Chidinma nodded, crying silently. As she walked out, Amaka felt something strange, not satisfaction, but closure. For the first time, she realized forgiveness wasn't for Chidinma. It was for herself. Amaka sat by her window that night, thinking about everything she had lost and gained. She realized that some people call you best friend only to learn your weaknesses. They smile in your face while secretly watching your blessings. She wrote in her journal, never tell a friend everything. Keep something sacred. Even a sister can turn into a stranger. That became her new rule for life: silence, caution, and wisdom. She learned that peace begins the moment you stop expecting loyalty from everyone. Months later, a new man entered Amaka's life. His name was Uche. Kind, patient, and genuine. He didn't rush things. He respected her boundaries and listened when she spoke. At first, she was scared to love again, but Uche's actions slowly rebuilt her trust. Unlike Toby, he never compared her or made her doubt herself. With time, her heart opened again. One Sunday, they attended church together. As the choir sang, Amaka closed her eyes and smiled. Thank you, God, she whispered. Not for giving me love again, but teaching me who deserves it.